Coming down to the wire here on the 7-day speaking challenge. So I want to bring you some good information, and this is some information that I've learned from a millionaire man named Tai Lopez. And so what I'd like to bring to you today is the concept of VRIN scores. And VRIN scores is something that they teach in the Harvard Business School, the Harvard Graduate Business School. You know, I learned that Harvard actually only has an economics sector for undergraduate, and then they have a graduate business school. So this is something they teach in their graduate business school for their master's program, and they also teach this in the London School of Business. So only these top-notch business schools introduce this concept of VRIN scores. So VRIN it's an acronym. I believe that's the right term. I believe so. But what the V stands for is value. What the R stands for is rarity. What the I stands for is inanimity, or otherwise known as the inability to copy. And then the N stands for non-substitutability. And this does a shout out to Tai Lopez. I know if he ever watches this video, I need to give him credit because I've been using a lot of his material for what I'm doing. So that's my man. But anyways, for reference, let's look at it, a high school teacher. And we're going to calculate the VRIN scores. What you do when you calculate a VRIN score, it's going to, at the end when you do it, it's going to tell you where you fall on the economic spectrum, and it can tell you how much money you make in a year based on your VRIN score. And like I said, this is very credible. This is highly regarded technique. Only top-notch individuals use, millionaires, billionaires use this. So let's look at a teacher. And by the way, these scores are on a scale of 1 to 10, and then you add up all these scores at the end and divide by 4, you get the average, and that will tell you where you fall. So 5 would be average. Let's set that off right now. So a high school teacher, education in our society is pretty important. So on the value score, I would say that it's slightly above average, the importance of education. So we're going to give a high school teacher a 6 to 7, but you know that is disregarding, of course, college professors, which would be maybe a 7 or an 8. It's hard to be a 9. It's really hard to be a 9. You have to be a professor emeritus at a university. But anyways, high school teacher, 6 to 7 on the value score. The rarity of a high school teacher is, I would say, a slightly below average because there are a lot of high school teachers in the world. And so we'll give them a 4. We'll say that's a 4. And then the inability to copy, it's pretty average to be a teacher, so we're going to give them a 5. And then the non-substitutability, education, there's only so many different forms of education in society. Like you can do self-learning because teachers are more the formal learning. There's a difference between formal learning and self-learning. And you can look up online programs. You can do different things. You can have mentors. You can do experiments, how you're going to learn. But so non-substitutability, it's pretty hard to copy a teacher It's hard to substitute a teacher with other learning methods. So we're going to give them a 7 on that. So what does that look like? A 6, a 4, a 5, and a 7. Is that 22? And divide 22 by 4 and 5.5, I believe, is that? My math might be wrong. I'm not a human calculator like the man who can do math faster than a calculator. I'm not that smart yet. And I say yet because I'm going to get there. But anyways, so if you look at it, a 5.5 is slightly above average if you're going on the 1 to 10 scale, and 5 would be average. And it makes sense when saying this because high school teachers make slightly above average pay. High school teachers starting off may make $60,000 to $70,000, and then throughout their career, if you have certain achievements, teach for about 26 years, you reach your maximum salary, you can make it up to $110,000 if you do a lot of things right. But that's, again, reaching the pinnacle of the teaching career. So $60,000 to $70,000, I believe that the norm is like $40,000 to $50,000 if we're going on that 5 scale of money and financial assets. But let's take another example. Let's look at Michael Jordan. Again, the value. Sports in America is huge. We'd say that that's probably a 9 on the value value scale, because everybody watched the Super Bowl. There's a bunch of parties for the Super Bowl. There's so many different things. You look at major sporting events, the NHL Cup, the Baseball World Series. A great example would be soccer in other countries of the world, and how serious they are about that, and how much they pay their athletes over there for soccer. Ronaldinho and Messi, they're making $100 million a year, and that's not even with their sponsorships. So they're paying them a lot of money. And so sports, a great athlete such as Michael Jordan, he is a 9 on that value score just based on sports. The rarity of Michael Jordan, it's pretty rare to become such a great athlete as himself. He's regarded as one of the best athletes of all time, if not the best, by certain metrics, you may say. And then the ability to copy. No one can copy Michael Jordan, obviously. That's without a doubt impossible. So he gets a 10, and on the rarity he gets a 10, obviously. And then the non-substitutability, no one can substitute that guy, and especially his mindset. When I was reading Relentless by Tim Grover, he was describing Michael Jordan and what he did, and it was just incredible. So you won't be able to substitute Michael Jordan. He gets a 10. So that's 39 divided by 4. That's like 9.75. And what do you know? On a scale of 1 to 10, he's in that top 0.1% of people, the 1%. He just reached his first $1 billion this past year. Michael Jordan is off the charts on this scale. And so looking at this, calculate a VRIN score for yourself, or how you can incorporate this into your life, and this will dominate your financial assets. So what makes you valuable? For me, I become a public speaker. I've done a lot of other things. I'm doing some difficult things that not a lot of teenagers are willing to do. And so I'm doing these things. I'm making myself more valuable through a lot of training, a lot of processes, a lot of thought, a lot of strategic planning. You see what I'm doing here on the 67-day speaking challenge. I don't know a lot of kids who've done this, if any. I mean, there's probably someone out there, but I haven't heard of them. So that's going to bring value to who I am, because I'm working on my speaking skills, and I'm also, gaining knowledge at the same time. Rarity. What's going to make you rare? And this is, for kids, it's kind of hard, because you want to look at like your job title, essentially, for rarity. Become a teacher. It's not that rare. But if you're a top social media guy and you just know how to work the market, and you know a lot of things about that, then you're going to be more rare to your company, and so you're going to go higher up on the VRIN score. The ability to copy. David, can you stop? Sorry, that was my friend David just interrupting. But anyways, you need to make yourself hard to copy with things you do. Have a tough skill set. Have something that's going to be hard for other people to do what you're doing. And that's what I'm doing, the Thirst Project. Not a lot of people can copy that. In my city, there's been another girl named Chelsea Ken who did it. And it was really hard. And so that's something difficult we're doing, but we're going to make it happen. And so that's what we're doing, fundraising $12,000, hard to copy. Non-substitutability. I was the homecoming king. Not a lot of people can substitute that, if any, at high school this year, because that was solely me. And so I kind of reference that to myself, not to seem selfish, but that was just an example I came off with the top of my head. But think about this for yourself. How can you make yourself valuable? How can you make yourself rare? How can you make yourself hard to copy and non-substitutability, or make yourself non-substitutable? And I guarantee you, if you follow this, make this happen early in life, catch these trends early, you will be able to create a difference in your life that is different from what other people can do. I'm a big proponent on separating yourself from the masses, because if you do as others do, you will end up just like the other people. So maybe calculate a VRIN score for yourself and be realistic. Find these categories and how you can apply them to a high school life, if you listen to me as a high school student, or if you're a businessman. Calculate your VRIN score, find a way to get your VRIN score higher. And this is from a millionaire guy. He told me that if you make your VRIN score higher, he guarantees your money will go higher as your VRIN score. But also, if your VRIN score goes lower, you will lose money. And there's prime examples of this. So work towards that 10. It's hard to be a 10. Maybe if you're a 5 now and you see yourself as a 5, you're being realistic, just go one step at a time. Be a 6. And after you be a 6, be a 7. Progressive. It's these small goals. These small goals are how you're going to achieve the vision of being a 9 or a 10. So work in small steps, achievable goals. Goals can be measured. So you want to be able to measure these goals, work your way up, and then that's how you're going to be more successful. So calculate VRIN score, be realistic, apply it to your life, and you can take this on further, and that's how you're going to make a lot of money one day. So VRIN scores, great concept. I would apply it to your life. If I were you, I know I'm doing it. So you're getting behind if you're not doing it yourself.